Before I begin my remarks, I just want to say a couple things. One, I've been doing mine rescue work for over 30 years and been involved in the worst mine disasters we've had in this country, from Utah, West Virginia, Alabama, and a number of them here that we've had in Pennsylvania. And I've got to work with all the folks here that was here at Q Creek. I was not at Q Creek. I watched it from a distance, but I can tell you this, that what Joe said and what the governor said is true, and what Congressman Fitz said. This was some of the best people. The folks at Q Creek were so darn lucky to have the people they did show up 10 years ago to run this mission. And I just want to recognize some of my folks here that I've worked with. And there's been some nasty missions that we've been on in our life, and the only one to ever turn out like this was Q Creek. But, Kevin Strickland, where are you at, Kevin? Jeff Kravitz, Tony Rosick. We have a number of other MSHA folks that's here that was here 10 years ago. I think I first met a bunch of these folks when we was at Wilburg in 1984, the worst mine fire disaster we'd had in modern history. We lost 27 miners, and we were there for 5 days, and unfortunately we didn't save a soul. And it took us a year to recover the last victim out of that mine. That's the other bookend to where we're at. But Joe Spifoni and the crew from the state, I just want to thank you all, because I know the work you do, and I know the value that it is to this country. But more importantly, I know what the value it is to every miner that goes to work every day, that they can count on us to come and get them. And that's our job. You know, we celebrate one of the most successful mine rescue events in modern history here today. It's the 10th anniversary of the rescue of the 9 miners from Q Creek, and I can tell you from my perspective, it is the most historic event in mine rescue in modern time in this country. There's nothing else that matches it. It's a story about quick actions by the miners that allow their fellow miners to escape through the perilous conditions in a flooded coal mine. And for those who remember the story, that call from those 9 miners to that other section saved their life. It's a story about the quick decisions made by both the trapped miners and the rescuers that set the stage really for the successful outcome. Those quick decisions meant a lot at the end of the day for 9 miners to be able to leave that coal mine. As most of you may remember, soon after the inundation, 9 of the 18 miners underground were able to escape. That's the ones that got the phone call, and the other 9 who made the call were not so lucky. Those on the surface moved fairly quickly to determine the likely location of the miners trapped by the massive inundation of water from that abandoned mine that was adjacent to it. And once this was done, the task of drilling to reach them began. During this time, the whole world watched anxiously and hoped for a miracle, even though there was no indication from underground that the trapped miners was even alive. The mine operators, MSHA, the state of Pennsylvania, the landowners, Bill and Laura Arnold, the first responders from the fire company here, Consol Energy's Inlow Fork Rescue Team, which was one of the first rescue teams to arrive here, the U.S. Navy that was discussed earlier, the Red Cross volunteers, the Salvation Army, drilling companies, vendors and suppliers. There was a lot of people that came here to help rescue the 9 miners. There were considerable emotions. There was ups and downs during the 4 days of this intensive rescue. The high point came on that 3rd night, when taps on the drill steel let everyone know that the 9 miners were alive. The mission had its ups and downs, but it had its downs as well. The drilling operation started fast, but ended up being a bit slow and tedious. Along with other drilling problems, the bit used to drill a large hole big enough to fit the MSHA escape capsule broke. Well, that capsule, just so folks know, had been specially designed for mine rescue. It was never used for one until then. It had been used for decades as a training tool at our MSHA Academy, but it got its first use here at Q Creek. The teamwork was exceptional throughout the rescue effort, and the operation, while not without frustrations, was seamless when you look at what happened over those 4 days. The singular focus of all involved was as it should have been. That was on the rescue of the 9 trapped miners. The world was riveted as MSHA's capsule brought each miner, one by one, to safety in the early morning hours of July 28th. It just changed history in mining that day when we were able to bring about a successful end to a mine rescue. Yes, there were many lessons learned from that July 10th event, or July event 10 years ago. And those are lessons that still guide us today in performing mine rescue operations and better protecting our nation's miners. Following Q Creek, MSHA improved the capsule's capability so it could actually enter and exit a drill hole more easily. There was real concerns about whether or not that was even going to work when a capsule was brought here. 8 years later, a team of NASA engineers developed another capsule modeled after MSHA's, and it was used to successfully rescue 33 Chilean miners who had been trapped for 69 days in a gold and copper mine in Chile. Other positive improvements came out of MSHA's experiences at Q Creek. The root cause of the Q Creek inundation was that the mine was using an inaccurate mining map. After Q Creek, Congress acted and passed legislation requiring an underground mine operator that closes or abandons a mine to file with MSHA a copy of the mine map current at the time of closure. These maps are retained in the repository and made available to mine operators of adjacent properties now. In addition, MSHA is currently working with the Interstate Mining Compact Commission. It's a multi-state governmental organization representing different states, of which Joseph Buffoni is a part of, working with us, as well as individuals from other states, to promote the centralization of mine map information for all underground mines in the United States. We're trying to develop a national repository for access to those maps. As well, MSHA has developed a mine emergency mapping tool on our website to supply information to stakeholders about the locations of equipment supplies, including drills, drilling rigs, large water pumps. And I can tell you, if you have a mine emergency, you don't want to start calling around, where can I get this equipment? You need to know now. And that was one of the successes of Q Creek, to be able to get so many supplies and so much equipment in such a short period of time. When I became Assistant Secretary over 2 years ago, one of my top priorities was to identify further gaps of mine emergency response and to close them. Working with stakeholders, I believe that we have made significant progress by developing new technologies to aid mine rescue, increasing mine emergency response training, command and control preparedness, and engaging the mining community in a dialogue to identify and implement additional improvements that we need. In May of this year, we held a mine emergency summit at the Mine Academy with many of the mine emergency folks participating. We convened mine emergency response experts to talk about the outstanding issues of mine emergency response and the plan forward that we need to implement. Also in May, MSHA, along with CONSOL Energy, the state of Pennsylvania, and others, staged an all-day mine emergency response development exercise at CONSOL's Bailey BMX mine located in Wind Ridge. Now, this was the first of its kind that I know of in Pennsylvania, where we simulated the mine emergency using an actual mine with miners trapped underground, and it gave us an opportunity to test our newly improved equipment, our systems, and also the state of Pennsylvania as well as CONSOL Energy. One of those was our seismic location device, one that was used here back in 10 years ago during the Q Creek rescue. At the Bailey mine here just a couple months ago, was able to simulate again a miners being trapped, and with our upgraded system, they signaled those trapped miners, or simulated trapped miners, signaled from 980 feet underground by pounding on a timber on the mine roof. The system worked. We was able to detect every one of those signals sent by miners. We know we have a system now that's built to at least nearly 1,000 feet to detect miners that are trying to signal the surface. Other technologies that were successfully tested included an innovative mine rescue communication system and MSHA's new upgraded permissible mine robot. We posted a video of the exercise on our website, and I encourage you all to watch it. It just illustrates how far we've came in developing new mine rescue technology and where we're heading for. Finally, in July, MSHA held another stakeholder meeting at MSHA headquarters to further discuss this mine rescue and other areas that we can all work together, and we have developed additional planning to even more improve mine rescue response. I know at the end of the day that it takes cooperation from all of us to get there, from our MSHA agency, from the state agencies, from mine operators, from miners, from the mine rescue community, from Congress, from all. And I believe that we are moving in the right direction to get us there. You know, unfortunately, the success of the mine rescue at Cube Creek involving no loss of life has proven to be, unfortunately, the exception to the rule. The Darby, Aracoma, Sago accidents in 2006, which took the lives of 19 miners, make us better understand that. In 2008, the Crandall Canyon mine disaster again occurred, resulting in the deaths of 6 miners and 3 of the rescue workers. These tragedies were followed by the explosion at the Upper Big Branch mine on April the 5th, 2010, which was the worst coal mine disaster we have seen in this country in 40 years. Just yesterday, I attended the dedication of a monument inspired by the 29 miners who needlessly lost their lives at the Upper Big Branch mine. It was a somber time for all of us, but especially for the miners' families and friends who continue to mourn the loss, whose grief will never end. It was a reminder that we can never forget those who have perished in mine accidents, and that we must increase our efforts to prevent these disasters from ever happening again. You know, as President Obama said of the miners immediately following the Upper Big Branch tragedy, we owe them more than prayers. We owe them action. We owe them accountability. We owe them an assurance that when they go to work every day, when they enter that dark mine, they're not alone. They ought to know that behind them is a company that's doing what it takes to protect them, and a government that's looking out for their safety. Today I speak for President Obama, Secretary of Labor Solis, and myself in saying that this administration worked tirelessly to get to the bottom of what happened at the Upper Big Branch mine, to apply the lessons learned to prevent this from happening again. It has motivated us to increase our efforts to aggressively enforce the Mine Act, and we continue to move forward to maximize the positive impact that we can have on the lives of our nation's miners. We owe it to them. All of us know that mines can be operated safely, and while many live up to that responsibility, there are those that do not. While MSHA and many in the mining industry have undergone significant change as we sought to find and fix deficiencies in mine safety and health, we know that more needs to be done to improve mine safety and instill a culture of prevention in the entire mining community. But today, it's a day of celebration and to remind ourselves that we are capable of great things. At Cube Creek, the 9 brave miners made all the right decisions underground to survive. And our mine rescuers and those that supported them made all the right decisions on the surface to get them. You all came together and did not give up until each and every miner was pulled to safety 10 years ago today. And for that, we all thank all of those who helped bring about that effort. Thank you very much.